Okay, so here we have Catullus, poem number 72, found on page 221 of your book. And if you'll recall from last time, it was Catullus 70, where Catullus was saying, hey, wait a minute, maybe things are kind of weird in our relationship, meaning between him and Lesbia. And that was the one about, hey, what a woman says should be written on the wind. And here we're going to get a lot more from Catullus about, wait, I'm kind of waking up and realizing that Lesbia is not everything that I thought that she was. So without further ado, let's get into it. Dicebas quondam solum te nose Catullum Lesbia, nec praeme velle tenere Joem. Dicebas quondam solum te nose Catullum Lesbia, nec praeme velle tenere Joem. Okay, do we see any clauses here in these first two lines? I don't. Do we see any prepositional phrases? I see one, praeme. Do I see, by the way, I'm just going to go ahead and mark some infinitives. I see a lot of infinitives here. Nose, which is a contracted form of noise, coming from the verb noe, meaning to know. Oh boy, that looks pretty bad. Oh well. And then velle is also an infinitive, and tenere. So what are all these infinitives doing here? Where is our main verb? It's here at the beginning, dicebas, coming from dico, dicere, of course, meaning to say. It's setting up indirect statement, which is why you have these infinitives. Who's the subject of dicebas? Bombasbot. Well, that would be none other than, well, there she is, Lesbia. So, well, the subject is technically you, so you, Lesbia. And we do have some words that are accusative here, solum, te, Catullum. Now, how do we know that solum is describing Catullum as opposed to te? Well, te refers to you, which refers to Lesbia. She's a woman, so that would have been solam. So solum is referring to Catullum. And do we have any other accusative words? We do right here, Joem, which happens to be the accusative form of Jupiter's name, the god Jupiter. So, quondam means formerly, or in the past, or once. So formerly, or once, or in the past, O Lesbia, you were saying that you knew only Catullus. Okay, do we see how that worked? That you knew only Catullus. And that you were saying that you nec velle did not want to hold Jupiter praeme, which means before me, or instead of me, or rather than me. So you were saying once, O Lesbia, that you knew only Catullus, and that you did not want to hold Jupiter before me. Meaning, like, you didn't even hold, in terms of prestige or esteem, you didn't even hold Jupiter at my level. Like, I was it for you, right? And you only love me. And then, of course, things changed, I guess. Now, Catullus is going to talk a little bit about how at that point in time, when she was saying those things to him, how he felt about her. In these next two lines, Dilexi, tum te non tantum ut vulgus amicam, sed pater ut natos diliget et generos. Dilexi tum te non tantum ut vulgus amicam, sed pater ut natos diliget et generos. Do we have any clauses? We kind of do, yeah. We have ut here, ut vulgus amicam. Actually, I'm going to back that up just a tiny little bit. It really starts, I'll just go ahead and tell you, at non tantum, and goes, technically it goes here to amicam, and then another one picks up at sed, and goes to generos. How about any prepositional phrases? I don't see any. Do we have some verbs? Of course we do. We have a verb to start the whole thing off with, which is dilexi, I was fond of. And then you have the present tense verb of that, deliget, I am fond of, or I'm sorry, he is fond of. How about some direct objects? Looks like we have te here, and amicam, and natos, and generos. How about subjects in addition to dilexi? Well, the subject of deliget is pater, so we can go ahead and mark pater there. But vogus, a common man, that is also a subject here. So, hey, while you were saying all these great things about me, and that you only liked me, and you liked me better than the god Jupiter, then, tum, T-H-E-N, like at that time, then, I was fond of you. Non tantum sed, it's usually followed by etiam. Sed etiam means not only, but also. I was fond of you then, not only as a common man is fond of a paid mistress, amicam, and we've talked about other definitions of that in a previous poem, meaning like prostitute, but also as a father is fond of his sons and sons-in-law. Whoa. Now that is just a very, very bizarre statement to make. And yeah, I'm just going to leave that one for you to journal about and let me know what you think. What does he mean exactly by that? So now he says this, nunc te cognovi. So there's lots of things about time here. Nunc, meaning now. Nunc te cognovi. Quare etsi impensius uror, multi me tamen es vilior et levior. Oh, wow. Okay. So, what do we have here? Do we have any clauses? We seem to have one, etsi. Etsi impensius uror. Verbs. Let's do verbs now. Moving on. I don't see any prepositional phrases. So moving on to verbs, we have cognoi. We have uror inside that clause there. And then we have es. Direct objects. I see one there at te. And I think that's about it. Okay. So he says, now cognoi te. Cognosco really means to get to know. He says, now I've gotten to know you, meaning like I've come to understand you, right? I figured you out in a way. That's a very non-literal translation. It would be more like, now I've come to know you. And he says, quare, which means and so, even if uror, I burn more strongly, in other words, with passion, nevertheless, you are vilior. You are, I don't know, more common or more ordinary, and levior, and more insignificant or worthless to me. That's a short form of mihi. And multo means much. So, and so, even if I burn more strongly or more violently, nevertheless, you are much more common and worthless to me. He goes on to say this, qui potus est enquis, quod amantem injuria talis cogit amare magis, sed bene velle minus. Qui potus est enquis, quod amantem injuria talis cogit amare magis, sed bene velle minus. This first bit, I think that your book pretty much defines almost all of it for you. Qui potus est is how is it possible, or how can that be? Enquis, you ask. So how can it be, you ask? And here he answers it, because. And now let's find our verb. And our verb here is cogit. Okay, and that's the main verb. Now we do have some infinitives. As you can see, there is amare and also vele. And you see a distinction, by the way, between magis, which means more, and minus, which means less. Now, what's our subject? Our subject is injuria, injury. And it's modified by talus, such a great, or so great. And then, do we have any accusative words? We have one, which is amantem, which means a lover. So, now I have figured you out, and so even if I burn more violently or strongly, nevertheless you are more worthless. You are more ordinary and worthless to me. How is this possible, you ask? Because so great an injury, cogit, forces a lover to love more, but forces a lover, that's understood, to wish well less. Or bene vele, your book defines that as to be friendly. I suppose. That's kind of a stretch. It really means to wish well less. But if we want to say to be friendly, we'll say because so great an injury forces a lover to love more, but to be friendly less. Wow, interesting. Oh gosh. So he's certainly injured by her, by something that she's done, I guess by the falseness of some of her words, and it's this weird paradox that he seems to be falling more deeply in love with her as her words don't ring true, but as a result he tends to be less friendly to her. Well, there you have it. Love. Oh boy, it's going to get worse for old Catullus. Wait till the next one. It's only 2 lines long, but oh my God, we could write like 40 pages on it. Goodbye.